I'm pretty excited to talk about Spider-Man today. How about you, Jordan?
Yes. Yes, I am.
This is a spoiler-full podcast. We are
Oh, that's right.
spoiling everything. Not everything, but if we're talking about it, it could very well be a spoiler. So
I
if you
will leave
have
out
not
nothing.
if you have not played this game entirely, or you just don't care about being spoiled, then watch on.
I platinumed it in 32 hours.
Yeah, that I did
I
it about that
ate.
time too,
Yeah.
but
Jake
probably
was not far
35.
behind me.
Yeah.
He got through the story a little bit slower. And that's with me mixing in plenty of side
Yeah,
content.
I pretty much finished everything but the flame side missions before I finished the game. I just wanted to make this very clear: spoilers are coming.
Spoilers are everywhere.
Yes,
Maximum spoilers. Welcome back, true believers, to another episode of the Backlog Club. My most anticipated episode because today we are talking about the game of games, the Arkham City of Spider-Man games, Marvel Spider-Man 2.
the game of the year.
I'm, of course, your friendly neighborhood Jordan. This is my co-host Jake. As you can see, I've prepared effectively with my attire for this episode.
I did not.
Jake didn't. He didn't know any of this was happening. I sprung this on him
That's a lie.
like a streak of night.
I don't have a mask. I don't even have anything Spider-Man related. But
He's not obsessed like I am.
I love Spider-Man. I right behind Captain America, favorite superhero. But yeah, we'll have some Spider-Man stuff that we can talk about in a bit. Spider-Man inspired stuff, legally speaking. But we'll talk about that later.
Spider-Man adjacent. It's part of the Spider-Verse, so it's fine.
Yeah, that might be not good legal speak
No,
either.
it's my Spider-Sona, Jake. I can do whatever I want.
I don't know if Sony's going to agree with that one.
Well, they'll have to.
Let's just hop right into a synopsis because we have a lot to talk about. This might be our longest podcast ever.
Oh boy, do I. I didn't know there were bears in these woods. Anyway, so that's probably my favorite line from the game. Where to start with the synopsis of Spider-Man 2, but at the beginning. It takes place 2 years after the events of Marvel's Spider-Man and 9 months after the events of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. We find our heroes as a well-oiled machine. They work great in tandem with one another. Peter Parker, after the death of Aunt May and being a homeowner now, has to figure out how to pay the bills. Classic Spider-Man troubles he's going through.
Classic Spider-Man 2 troubles.
Exactly, yeah. So he's got the house, he's got a mortgage to pay because Aunt May decided the smart thing to do when the city's in crisis would be to
die.
Refinance her home or whatever to help the Feast Center. Which, we love Aunt May.
Yeah.
Bless her heart. But she really put Peter in a tough spot, considering he can't hold down a job to save his life.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter decides to become a teacher and then promptly gets fired because the Sandman strikes. And I guess we should also talk about Miles, where he's at. He's in his senior year of high school. He's going to be graduating soon, and he has to write his college entrance essay to Empire State University. And he struggles. He's struggling to focus on the essay. He keeps getting distracted with Spider-Man stuff.
Yep. Plus, it's just hard to write a college admission essay. Like, I don't know. I couldn't talk about myself highly.
Well, especially when half of your life or most of your life is a secret.
Yeah.
Like, imagine
the
that.
best parts of your life so far
your
are
favorite
being
part,
Spider-Man.
Too. Yeah. They're in class together. The Sandman strikes.
Sandman is back.
Sandman is back. And he is just like he was in the Spider-Man 3 movie. He is like a 100-foot tall sand monster.
He's bigger.
He's bigger.
He's huge.
He's huge. He chucks Miles halfway across the city.
Yeah.
Which was a phenomenal sequence.
Yes.
Presentation in this game is phenomenal. But that's all coming later. I got to get through the synopsis. Yeah. I got about 2 minutes left to get through what I need to get through.
You're on a timer.
Peter and Miles, the Sandman comes back. He talks about some people who were attacking him after they defeat him. And they then start investigating, trying to figure out what's going on. Well, Kraven's in town. Sergei Kravenov has come to have his final hunt.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
the entirety, the concrete jungle of New York City is his hunting ground. And he will stop at nothing to find the one prey that will finally take him out. Because, as you find out later, spoilers, he's got cancer. And he's not going to... Kraven can't go out that way. There's nothing wrong with dying from cancer. I feel like I should say that.
Kraven can't.
Kraven can't.
He refuses to go out that way.
He will not let God decide his fate, apparently.
That is what he says.
So in doing so, he gathers together a large amount of the supervillains in New York City. He kidnaps them and fights them for the hope that one of them will take him out. Well, this pushes Peter over the edge. At one point, Kraven gets the upper hand on him after a fight, and he dies. And then Peter is healed by the black suit, which is, the best suit that Spider-Man has ever had. But where did the black suit come from, you may ask? Well, it comes from Harry Osborn, who has been using it for treatment. Because Harry is sick, as you found out in the end of Marvel Spider-Man, the very first one.
And the end of Miles Morales,
too. Harry comes back.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, and he's fine. So
they didn't even show him coming out, nothing. He's there.
He's back, and he reconnects with Peter, and he wants to give Peter a new job, building their dream of healing the world.
The Emily May Foundation, named after their loved ones who have sadly passed away.
Harry's mom, Emily, and obviously Aunt May.
Aunt May.
So, upon Harry and Peter reuniting, shenanigans ensue. Hijinks are enacted by Kraven and his hunters. The hooligans are hunting. And Harry and Peter end up working together as Spider-Man, and I guess he would be Agent Venom, but they never really say that. And by the way, for all of you who don't know, Harry is Venom. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah.
We knew that.
Yeah.
We knew that years ago.
Obvious, but there was also many points in this story that I thought Kraven was going to end up being Venom.
Yeah.
It did not turn out that way. And I'm happy with it, but I was also like, that would have been insane to see him as Venom with all of his abilities, with his strength. That might have been too much for both of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he's just too good.
He's just too good.
So Peter gets the black suit from Harry because he's using it for treatment. And then Peter goes on his bully era, his Bully Maguire, Bully Lowenthal. Shout out to Yuri Lowenthal, his Bully Lowenthal arc. And just treats everyone that he loves like crap and is very brutal towards the villains he encounters. Most notably Kirk Connors, the Lizard, who makes an appearance through more of Kraven's schemes. Kraven really just has his hand in everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of where we find ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about more story stuff as it relates to gameplay later.
Yeah, we'll talk about the ending. I have plenty to say about the ending of most of the villains in this story.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of them are dead.
Yeah, a lot of them are dead.
Let's see. Anything else I want to cover in the synopsis, real quick? Just let me just make sure. No, I think that pretty much covers it up to this point, and then we can just start discussing.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much where we find ourselves in the story. But overall, I think the story's phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, as far as the story, I want to throw out one nitpick, but before I do, I love this game. I think this is possibly the best Spider-Man media we have ever received out of the games, the movies, and I haven't really read any comics, but this is such a good story. I have nothing but amazing things to say about the story.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Sensational.
I have like a couple nitpicks with
superior
the story. One little nitpick with the voice acting. It was amazing. Except for the Coney Island sequence, just felt really off. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah.
I did not feel that way.
It felt like it was mostly ADR. I don't know if you know what that is.
Additional dialogue recording.
Thank you. Explaining it for the audience for me, because I didn't know what the actual acronym stood for.
Hey man, somebody said in one of, I think a comment on the Metroid podcast was they thought I could be a good voice actor.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Thank you for that compliment. not trying to like brag about myself here, but I have done a fair bit of research into looking into voice acting and just how that stuff works. So
I've
yeah,
looked into it too.
additional dialogue recording
Yeah.
is what ADR stands for.
Yeah. But that Coney Island, like the walking around sequence. So it's not like the actual cutscenes felt fine, and that's the more important part. But when Harry and MJ and Peter are all walking around after they meet up with Miles, it felt like it was all ADR because they didn't really bounce off of each other. They didn't like have the same tone. It felt very just like, all right, Yuri, here's this line that we want you to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. It was just a little nitpick because like I was in it, but then it kind of slowed down once we got to Coney Island. It obviously picked up when we leave Coney Island,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just like, oh. It was also just kind of one of the lulls in the gameplay too, because you're walking around Coney Island, and the rides are probably great in real life, but when you're playing as Spider-Man for hours and then you jump onto a relatively lame roller coaster, it's like, okay, do we really need to do all this? Can we just get to the point? But otherwise, it's just that was a little nitpick I had.
And now I will come to the defense of this perfect video game. No,
Yeah.
it's not perfect. I want that to be made known so that nobody can be like, wow, he's just a Spider-Man
It's
fanboy.
pretty dang close to perfect.
I really liked that Coney Island section because it allowed you to see how these three people who grew up together, like it showed you their relationship. How like as Harry came back, didn't skip a beat. They were back. The three of them were back to being kids again.
Yeah.
I did not notice anything off with the recording. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, I think you're wrong.
It's just a nitpick.
Yeah.
I had to point it out because I when I show my love, I criticize.
Mm-hmm. I do think this section, I like these slow down sections that they had.
Yeah.
Where you get to experience not just, obviously the amazing set pieces. Amazing, of course.
Mhm.
That's gonna happen a lot in this episode. I think these moments where things slow down are important to show you the difference between Peter Parker and Spider-Man. You get to just experience what Peter is experiencing, what he really wants to be doing, and the good time he has to then sacrifice when duty calls.
Yeah.
So there are other sections of the game that slow down, not I think as slow as the Coney Island section, and they make a return from the game that I really wasn't entirely stoked about because they're the main reason I struggle to replay Marvel Spider-Man, even though it's one of my favorite games, and that's those MJ sections. They are back. They are back, and they're much improved.
So much better.
It's a vast improvement. I mean, the last one literally feels like you're playing a Resident Evil game or something.
Yeah.
But I still do think there are other moments too. I think you play as Haley, Miles' girlfriend by the end of the game, his love interest. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
That one was interesting. I thought the use of sound design to make everything muted because she's deaf was interesting. But at the same time, why? Why am I playing as Haley?
Yeah.
I don't really care.
I felt like it really slowed it down. And especially when people have already voiced their concerns about playing as MJ. And like they did improve that a lot. Like having the stun gun and the blaster that Peter adds at the end, that made it so much better. And I'm just not a stealth guy at all in any video game. And it's just like no matter who it is, stealth is just like it's putting me to sleep. Especially when I'm on like hour 20 of the game, sleep is low, I'm trying to grind this out, and it's like, okay, stay awake, Jake. It's like we're going slow, but it'll be good after this. It's like, yeah, I thought it was cool in concept, but I think the Haley part dragged out a little too long, and I feel like it didn't really serve a ton to the story. I don't think we missed much, like we would have missed much without it, but it's a cool addition.
Yeah, that is the one playing as a different character other than the Spider-Man that I would have cut.
Yeah,
is playing as Haley. Not that I think it's like you said. I don't think it's bad. I think it's neat. I don't think it's essential
Yeah, I
to
just
the
don't think
story they were telling there.
I don't think it also fits in Spider-Man very well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just again, stealth sections in Spider-Man shouldn't be like that. It should. I guess it's not really a stealth section for Haley, but
I get what you mean.
it's yeah. I think it doesn't flow. It really kills the momentum, and thankfully this game is just really good, so I let it slide.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think what is important and what they do recognize is Spider-Man is nothing without his supporting cast.
Yes.
And I'm okay with playing as his supporting cast, and I'm so glad they gave MJ the ability to like sprint and other
Yes.
things, and like she was not completely helpless, obviously,
Yeah.
which made those sections a lot better.
Mhm.
But I don't think you necessarily have to put so much focus on the supporting cast that it slows down the gameplay in the way it did.
Yeah.
That's my real complaint with that section.
I also wanna say, I love Haley as a character. I think she is awesome.
You know, she
I
wholly
love
original
yeah.
Insomniac universe.
I love that she has a bit of attitude to her. She's confident. She's a little cocky, messing around with Miles because
Mm-hmm.
she knows that he's crushing on her, and
Mm-hmm.
she's playing around with that.
Well, and she knows that he's Spider-Man too.
That too,
Like
yeah,
I appreciate sometimes you just wish Peter would just tell people because you're like, dude, they can handle it. Like it's not really
yeah,
a big deal. They're gonna be in danger anyway. I just appreciate how Miles' supporting cast is more like in the know. Granted, he does things differently.
he's
Not to
also a
say
kid.
he's also a kid, and it's not to say he does things worse than Peter or he necessarily does things better.
I mean, they really improved him from the original Spider-Man too.
Yeah.
He's a lot better to play as now,
Mm-hmm. His
and
voice acting got better too. He sounded
yeah,
less geeky.
I just like that he's not significantly weaker than Peter anymore. That they actually felt like they were the same level of strength.
Yeah,
So
they even had to give Peter a couple.
they had to boost
They
him.
had to boost Peter. They had to give him, his OP, his basically his Super Saiyan form in order to balance them out in this game.
Yeah, he needed Venom abilities to
Yeah,
match his Venom abilities. They didn't make a joke about that, and I'm kind of sad they didn't.
I mean, they didn't really call Harry Venom all that much.
This is
They kept
true.
calling him Harry,
Yeah,
but I mean, Peter did one time, and we did get the line like, "We are not Harry,
yeah,
we are Venom,"
Venom.
and I'm like, okay, they said it. We did it. It's there. Um, Speaking of voice acting too, real quick, Tony Todd as Venom absolutely killed it.
That was great.
Oh my gosh. I knew it would be good. I didn't know it was going to be that good.
Craven too. Craven, I don't know who his voice actor is,
I think it's Jim Peary.
and
Peary?
Yuri Lowenthal for sure killed it.
Yuri Lowenthal this year. I don't know what other people would even be up for it, but he deserves best performance at the Game Awards.
Absolutely.
He acted his heart out.
That was the best Harry I have heard since Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. Best Harry since Tobey Maguire. I think he even might have done it better.
I think he did it better.
Mhm.
I can't even try and imitate it. I can just scream Harry.
His angry Peter too.
It's great.
Phenomenal.
Is like
Bully Lowenthal.
I just imagine him as this like happy-go-lucky guy in real life, and to see him do something like that, and
Mhm.
he killed it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he killed it like Venom killed Craven. He just
Whoa, spoiler. Yeah.
nailed it.
Which that was crazy. I did not expect Craven to go out like that.
I was not expecting a biting of the head.
Yeah, they really went with all the blood, like the blood on Venom's teeth and on his hands, and I was just like,
Rated T.
rated T for teen. They're really pushing it. Good framing though they used to really
Yeah.
sell that to you, especially when the shot from above where the blood was dripping onto the camera.
Yeah.
Really sold it. It was again the game's presentation is phenomenal.
Just playing as Venom. Oh my god, not expecting that.
I literally did not think because I would see that get posted and people are like, "Oh, the game's an L if we don't get to play as Venom." I'm like, "You need to stop with that because I
Yeah.
don't think that's going to happen." And then it happened, and I went, "Well, okay,
Yeah.
I'm wrong, and this is the biggest W I've ever seen."
My mouth was like this. the whole time.
Yeah, when you saw, because when the cutscene starts and Norman's in between, you're like, oh, we're gonna fight Venom right now.
Yeah.
And then he comes in and he's like, no. And then Peter gets like,
Yeet.
yeeted into the janitor's closet or something. And then all of a sudden the Oscorp security comes in and the camera goes behind Venom and I went, what?
Oh my.
No, I was like you said, jaw hit the floor.
And
I was
then
like, this is insanity.
my favorite little detail, because you know how you put both the triggers to zip into the vents. And when I saw that we had to do that as Venom, I'm like, how's he gonna fit in there?
Yeah,
and
dude.
we just go through the wall.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, oh, we're going through that wall. We're going through that wall, boy.
Because at first it killed my momentum, and I was like, what? We really? I'm like, how's he gonna? Boom! That's how he's gonna fit through there. He's gonna make a hole. Oh man,
he goes where he wants to go.
I just like. And it wasn't even the short sequence either. Like, it was a long.
No, it was like 10
and then
minutes.
we got a boss fight as Venom.
Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes. Like, as Venom. The finisher where he literally took the dude and went.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Snapped him like a glow stick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
chomped the dude's abdomen. And then he did the one with, like, he made the spike ball out of the symbiote.
Yeah. I couldn't have asked for a better sequence there.
Oh, literally, this game, speaking of the story, is a wonderful adaptation of not just the Venom story in general. Like, it's a great remix of the whole Web of Shadows thing with the symbiote city at the end.
Interesting.
That's incredible.
We'll have to play that at some point.
Oh yeah, no. When I saw that, I was like, oh, it's Web of Shadows too. Okay, cool. I'm in. I love Web of Shadows.
But let's talk about some more bosses. Well, let's keep talking about Kraven for a second, since we just mentioned him.
I see a man. I sense a beast. That is probably my favorite Kraven line in the entire game. Sorry, but go ahead with what you were saying.
I loved everything about him. I was not sold on him when he was introduced, especially because the first teaser we got was Venom. And I was like,
and Kraven.
Yes.
Kraven was in there.
He was too.
He was the voiceover.
Oh.
Most people didn't know he was in the game until the May reveal, right? The showcase. They're like, oh, wow, they actually did Kraven. If you listen to the dialogue in the initial announcement and reveal trailer for Spider-Man 2, that is almost certainly Kraven. Like, not even almost certainly. I mean, we know now.
It is, yeah.
Like, as soon as I heard that, I heard him talking about, like, someone to push me. Like, someone to, will one of you finally give me what I desire? I'm like, oh, it's Kraven. They're doing Kraven and Venom. Oh, it's Kraven's last hunt because he's getting the black suit, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
When I learned why he shows up to New York, why he was trying to easily hunting that one guy in the beginning in the intro, when I learned he had cancer and the reason why he's searching out all these villains is because he wants to die the not heroic death, but like
in glory.
The glorious death. He wants to die in battle. He wants to, I guess, go to Valhalla because that's the rules there. That was so good. That really sold me on Kraven. Him going through villain after villain. He wanted Sandman. He destroyed Scorpion. We didn't even see how easily he took out Vulture.
And Electro.
So
I think in the dialogue, he says Shocker actually put up the best fight.
Really?
Yeah, because Shocker was like fighting for his life.
Huh.
Like he was going feral. And Electro was just disappointing.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, we can at least use this technology, which is where I think, real quick, you know when they do the little electrical things in the sky to stop you from doing air combos? Do you ever encounter those? If you do too much air combat, the hunters will throw up like a web of electricity in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
That is Electrotech that they repurposed.
Huh.
And even like the stuff with the shield bearer where he like disables Pete's web shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Electrotech. Stole Electro's tech or stole his vest and repurposed it. So yeah, they're gone.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about this now. I don't have this written down, but I'm kind of disappointed that they killed them off just because it fit for the story, but we didn't see a ton of them in the original game. We got like one boss fight apiece with them. And I feel like those are huge Spider-Man villains, and that's all we're going to get from them. A little disappointed, but they served their purpose in this story. So I think it's fine.
They had to make Kraven look powerful, and they
Yeah.
did. I mean, the fact that he took out Electro, somebody Spider-Man struggles with,
Yeah.
on a good day, and then he had the balls to say it was easy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, like, this game makes it sound like Kraven is not going to lose to Spider-Man without Venom's abilities. He's not gonna lose to both of the Spider-Man without Venom abilities.
Peter literally died.
Dies.
I mean, he was protecting MJ, so he was a little
Yeah.
thrown off. But Kraven caught the fist, knife in the abdomen, probably punctured his lung, which is why he's like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm breathing. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Collapsed lung. Horrible way to go. And then Peter literally just dies on the floor. And it's like, what? Which is a fantastic way to establish Peter's need for the black suit.
Yep.
That addiction that they talked about in interviews beforehand, like, it just really settled in. Like, he needs this because otherwise, like, he can't handle Kraven at all.
Mm-hmm.
And even after he loses it and you're fighting the symbiotes that are infecting the city, Peter feels, I texted you this when we were talking about it. I said, this is the point where you as the player are also supposed to feel what Peter's feeling, in that he feels weak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, compared to Miles, who has the evolved venom powers to deal with symbiotes, and it makes it a little bit easier. Peter is struggling. Like, that first symbiote nest you do in the story, I died like 2 or 3 times.
Really?
Because it was just like, I was just like, man, I was so dialed in with all the symbiote abilities that, like, I struggled. I was like, man, Peter is just, he's just not hanging brain with the rest of them right now.
Interesting. I didn't struggle with the symbiote nests until it was the double ones. Because I was like, we have to run back and forth and back and forth. But it ended up being fine. I got it after a couple tries.
Well, you did them all before you had the anti-venom powers, didn't you?
Yeah, but then they give you like the first half they give you before anti-venom, and then the second half they give you after. So I didn't get to do all of them because they weren't unlocked yet.
Oh, okay.
But I think I would have been able to do them. There was another one that I struggled with. I think it was the one that moves around on you.
Yep.
But I don't think I ever died again on the rest of them. But I also played it on amazing difficulty.
The second from hardest?
The middle one. Technically the second from hardest before you unlock ultimate.
Oh, so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it on, that explains why you were surprised that I died. I played it on spectacular.
Yeah. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer, but not a gamer.
So that explains our earlier conversation when I was like, yeah, the parry timings are really tight. They are so much
really
tighter.
That's just the next step up.
Oh, but the brutes, the symbiote brutes,
yeah,
two-shot you.
Oh.
Yeah, like you will get clapped.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm ready
good.
for ultimate.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I will never. I don't think there's a game out there that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play the hardest difficulty. I'm more of a story with good combat. I want a challenge, but I don't want to hate myself.
So you're not a give me God of War gamer?
No. No. I'm usually a middle of the road. If there's 4 of them, I usually do the second from the easiest. I don't like doing the easiest because that makes me feel too wimpy.
Mm-hmm.
But for this game, I was really prepared. I played the first Spider-Man game and Miles Morales, and I 100%ed everything except for the last 2 DLCs of the 3 you get in the original game. I hate Sable Tech. So glad Sable does not make a return in this game.
No, you just get hunters with their knives and their APCs.
And I
fire at you every 2 seconds.
I really don't like the dogs, but
oh my gosh,
the rest of it's fine.
I have a theory, or this is a belief I have actually. Dogs in any video game where they are an enemy are the worst, like the hardest enemy to deal with. A humanoid enemy you can like fight really easily, but there's nothing in the human brain that like makes it easy for you to anticipate a dog's movements.
Yeah. Yeah. What I do like about the dogs,
disabling your abilities.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, disabling the abilities is
halfway
annoying.
across the map, and you're like, how do you reach that far?
Yeah. I like the side quests where you help the blind lady get the dog,
Oh my
and then
gosh,
it
yeah.
becomes her seeing eye dog. I
Mhm.
thought that was funny. That was cute. Mysterio, I was pretty disappointed by. I thought some of the combat was cool. I definitely like the final boss fight. I'm very glad that I didn't have to get the best time on all of them for the achievements,
Yeah.
but it was okay. I'm just like Mysterio, especially in video game form, you could do so much cool stuff. And if I didn't see Far From Home, if I didn't know that whole movie, I wouldn't care as much as I do right now about Mysterio. The cool stuff that you could do with this character in a video game that you don't have to spend. I mean, there's still visual effects to it, but it's a lot easier to do VFX in a game than in a movie to make it look realistic.
Right.
But there's so much potential with him, and it feels really lame. I guess he's not dead, but he feels reformed at the end, sort of. I guess he doesn't really
Well, no,
indicate that he's reformed.
he was. He
Well,
was just he was betrayed by his coworkers.
yeah, but at the end, he kinda, like, didn't say he wasn't like Martin Lee or Sandman where he's like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Mhm.
But he kinda was like, "We don't know. We could see where he goes from here. He might come back." But I think he's a Craven or Venom level guy. He could be the headlining villain for a game, and I feel like it was just a wasted opportunity, especially when we don't even get an intro to him. It's like, "Oh, yeah, we've been battling Mysterio for a long time." It's like, "What? This is the first mention of him in this game."
Is it?
I don't remember. I just played both the games. I don't remember them talking
No.
about
One of the
Mysterio.
backpacks, Peter has a piece of Mysterio's fishbowl helmet, and he goes, "Using this, I
Oh,
was actually able to innovate on my lenses. I made better lenses."
okay. That's just
You
like
know, Jake, I really, this is not a, this might come off sounding a little jerkish, but I don't expect you to remember the stuff that I remember about
yeah.
Spider-Man, especially like the games.
I'm not gonna remember it. I like doing the backpack missions. I like the collectathons. I'm not a collectathon guy, but I like collecting stuff in this game because swinging around is so amazing. The last thing I want to talk about with story and the villains is the Martin Lee and Miles relationship was so good in this game.
Oh yeah, I agree.
The
So much
whole
character there.
mission going in, like, there's so many villains where they're like, "Oh yeah, I won't do bad anymore," and it's just not believable. But with Martin Lee, I felt it. I'm like, he actually feels regret. That was the last time I felt like that with a villain was Sandman in the Raimi trilogy.
Mhm.
Like, he genuinely feels awful about the things he's done, and he's like, I don't want to be vengeful, I guess. I don't want to get revenge anymore. What I did was wrong, and I hurt this kid. I took his father away and countless other people's lives, and it's like, obviously, like, I'm with Miles. I won't forgive you, but dang, like, that was good. And he saves Peter. He gives his powers to save someone else.
Mhm.
And like that's true reform there.
Yeah. I loved that arc, especially like cuz it was very antagonistic at the beginning and a lot of it really could have been solved had Miles not almost watched him die and
Yeah.
basically was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to let you go, man. Like
Mhm.
peace out. I'll see
He
you
didn't have to.
never."
He could have let him drown in that
He
base.
was gonna it was only because the hunters came in and intervened that
Yeah.
Martin Lee did not die. And that's why like their relationship, especially when they meet each other again after Miles gets captured by Craven, like you understand why these two are going to fight now.
Mhm.
You're like Miles is desperately looking for him because he channels his anger and pain at what Lee took from him and his anger just wanting to like, beat this guy,
Mhm.
kill him, whatever. He uses the argument of like, well, I'm just protecting my family because
Yeah.
he's just going to take away more of my family. He kind of deludes himself into thinking, well, if I'm just protecting my family, it excuses whatever I want to do to
Yeah.
Mr. Negative, to Martin Lee, which it doesn't.
Does
And he
not.
And even Genki is like, I don't know that that's exactly what you're doing. I don't know that what you're doing is protecting. That really just kind of feels like you want revenge.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not even that Miles is wrong. Dude killed his dad. It's
Mm.
completely understandable. By the end, and especially in that mission, Martin Lee, like you said, really does realize, like, oh crap, I took this kid's dad. He's like, yeah, you killed my dad, Jefferson Davis. He was killed by your bomb at the rally. And you hear Martin Lee go, what? Like he out loud is like, what? Like, oh, that was your dad? Oh, and it makes him think. And then Miles did the smart play where he's like, all right, well, I can't get out of here and find Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But you can. So he yeets him up out of there. That did a lot of good to reform Martin Lee. And then, like you said, gives his powers to Peter.
Yep.
And then it's just like, I'm going to try to go do this your way. And he surrenders himself to the police.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, what an actual somebody who really did have a good side of them in the first Spider-Man game that just got corrupted by their hatred. And then Miles kind of on the same path. Instead of going down the path Lee went down where he let it destroy him and destroy the people around him, he let go of it. Didn't forgive him, which again, understandable. Totally.
Dude, when he pulls off his mask so he can look him in the eyes and say, I won't forgive you, that's just chills.
And
Like,
you can see
so good.
And you can see it hurts Lee to be like,
Yeah.
dang, because he wants to be forgiven, but he doesn't deserve it.
He doesn't.
No, and there's really expecting Miles. I've seen people be like, well, Miles just should have forgiven him. No, you can't really expect that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Try experiencing what Miles went through and then forgiving somebody. I doubt it's just as easy as being like, okay, but Miles is right. You can't hold on to the hate.
Yeah.
That's what will hate. I've heard this great, great quote. Hatred and anger is like acid, and it usually does more damage to the container it's stored in than the person it's poured on.
Yeah.
So just like, Miles just had to let it go. And even Peter's like, I don't think I could have done that. That's it's impressive. Good job. So, yeah, phenomenal character work. Miles, this was Peter's game for sure. Miles still got a really good arc.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that because I like Miles.
And that's the thing. It's just like I don't remember who said this. I think it might have been Gerard the Completionist, but it lives up to the title, Spider-Man 2.
Ooh.
It really, like you say, it feels more like Peter's game. It's both of them. Like there's
for sure.
I don't think there's really like, yes, because it's Harry that's Venom, but if it was Eddie Brock, then I think that is like as even of a game as you can get. There was just as much Peter as there was Miles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they did such a good job with this game. It is so good.
Passion.
Yeah.
That's it, man. They're passionate about this character and living through our Spider-Man fantasy like they were. They probably just had just as much fun making it as we did playing it.
Probably the best licensed game of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what was the other one? Spider-Man, the other Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man game. But it was just, yeah. The world just feels lived in. I don't like saying that because it doesn't, it's a sentence, it's a nothing burger to me, that sentence. But
a buzzword.
Yeah. Going through the city and just fighting the crimes, and then you see Wraith or other Spider-Man or Harry, as you told me. I did not know Harry.
Yeah. You can encounter Harry as both Peter and Miles.
And technically Black Cat a little bit. Maybe not in actual crimes, but she does help out in a little bit of the story.
Yeah.
But that just was so cool just to see them like, oh yeah, why wouldn't they just jump in? Why aren't they also fighting crimes at the same time? We'll flip you right back to the regularly scheduled programming in a second, but we need to talk about the merch because we have a new design for some merch directly inspired by this game. I really wish we had it in time. It comes from Germany, actually, but
it'll be right here on my hand.
Yeah, or we'll just have a clip of it on screen because hopefully it'll be here before we post this,
You can bet your web shooter on that.
we have a sign that is inspired not only by Spider-Man, but the neighborhood watch sign that you see in neighborhoods around the US. I don't know if that's an international thing,
It's
but
the friendly neighborhood watch.
it's the friendly neighborhood watch. It's so cool. We will probably have it up here in the background for future episodes, but
Behind Eddie.
it will unfortunately is not here today, but it is super cool. It's an actual metal sign. And if you want it on a shirt, then we can do that. It just didn't feel right to me on a shirt. I'll throw up a mock-up right now. But if people want it on a shirt, I will put it on a shirt for you guys. Just let me know. But yeah, if you want a metal sign that has to do with Spider-Man that looks like it could be on the street, probably not, but not really government regulated. But it looks really cool. I'm super pumped for it. And
Be grateful you get anything at all. Sorry.
be greater together.
Sorry, I'm in my bully era. I said that.
Yeah, if you want it or any of the other merch designs, I know we have the Pikmin merch up, but hopefully we should have the glorified ping pong shirts ready to go by this podcast. I don't know for sure, but that joke I made in the first podcast about Ganondorf, we made a shirt about it. Shout out to Jordan's little brother.
Yeah, phenomenal artist.
Yeah.
Love that guy. And then hopefully we're working on some Metroid Dread stuff too.
That probably won't be ready in time, but coming soon.
Coming soon. And we'll let you know as soon as it drops so you guys can get your hands on it.
Yeah.
We ride at dawn, as Big Bird would say.
Go check the link down in the description or the show notes. Go check it out, retroremaster.com/collections/TBLC, or just click that link down below. I wish, and maybe they did and I just didn't notice it, but I thought it would be really cool if just at random points when you're swinging through the city, you see the other Spider-Man swinging in the distance, just like as a little PNG moving or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
just to notice that look. But
You do a couple
nitpick.
times in the story.
You do.
Yeah, like when you're rescuing J. Jonah Jameson at the beginning, Peter is swinging next to you. There are a couple times, like when Peter and Miles have to go somewhere together,
Yeah.
the other one is swinging right next to him. I don't know how much processing power that takes.
Yeah. I meant just like, it doesn't have to be anything like super powerful. Just a little movement in the background, like a silhouette or something. I thought
for sure.
it would just be a little attention to detail. But again, nitpick, not something I need. I love this game.
Mm-hmm.
But should we talk about combat now? Some controls, some gameplay.
Think before we talk about combat,
Okay.
the most important thing you have to nail in a Spider-Man game is the web swinging. I have spent over 500 hours across Miles Morales and Marvel Spider-Man swinging around. I love the swinging.
Yeah.
I have developed tricks and other things. I've told you tips that you can use to make it a more enjoyable experience.
Whether I want to or not.
Whether you want to or not. Whether you want to know this stuff or not. I'm like, oh, well, you got to do this. You got to try this. You got to try this. I've downloaded mods upon mods to change the web swinging in the PC version because, it's fun. This game has the best web swinging of any Spider-Man game ever made. Full stop. Hands down. Write the check. Give them the Grammy. They're done. It's over. And then with that being the case, right? Because you can haul in this game.
Yes.
Because the PS5
so fast
is a dream machine from a different dimension, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
With how fast it loads.
From 2099.
From 2099, yeah. Where's Miguel O'Hara? Is he responsible for this? Get me in contact with him. Yeah. I need that PS99 now. I want to see how fast that thing loads. Does it plug into my brain? Anyway, not only do they have the swinging nailed, and they have different levels. You can completely turn off the assistance thing they have going so that it's fully physics-based. I mean, you can hit the ground if you don't time your web swings correctly. It's phenomenal. So not only did they do the best job with the swinging, they then said, you know what? We're going to put a little sauce on it. And they said, what about web wings? Now, something I was not sold on when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that looks neat. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about Spider-Man kind of flying, squirreling it around.
Yeah.
No, I was completely wrong. I'm completely sold.
It was so good.
They are literally the best thing. Like and everyone's like, oh well, if I can just fly around, why would I even use the web swinging if the web wings are better?
Yeah.
They're not. You're supposed to mix the two of them. The speed is so good. It feels so good. I have not been able to put this game down because it is the most relaxing thing to me to do loop-de-loops into web wings, into point launches, into swings, into more loop-de-loops, into the the jump abilities that Miles had in his game that they've given to Peter through the arms or the symbiote. It's so good. They added the corner tether where you can whip around a building and keep your momentum. I mean, gosh, it's just so fast. You can go so fast. You literally can't control what's going on. It's so good.
Yeah. It's just as relaxing as Pikmin, right?
It's even more relaxing than Pikmin. If Pikmin's like a therapy session, this is like a lobotomy. Like you're just like, nah, my brain isn't. I'm engaged, or they've taken away all control. I'm just in it. I'm just here.
If you don't get what I'm saying, go watch the Pikmin podcast after this one. But
There's zero stress when it comes to web swinging.
yeah,
But if you turn off the swing assistance and you remove that little floor that they have so you don't hit the ground, it makes it more of an interactive like experience. Like you really have to you're more engaged.
yeah,
You're not just kind of swinging, you are actively like deciding, and it gives you more of an immersive feeling when you're deciding where your webs go and like what height you have to deploy the web so that you don't just smack into the ground, especially with fall damage turned on as well. So if you were a huge fan of Spider-Man 2 back in the day, the original one, and you were a little disappointed that the web swinging felt a little too floaty, a little too hand-holdy, this game with the swing assist turned off is right up your alley. You will love it. It's phenomenal.
yeah. It was really good. I'm gonna be the nitpick guy, I guess. Again, amazing game. Like 10 out of 10. Not an exaggeration. I this is just something that's been an issue for me in all of the Insomniac Spider-Man games. The point launching or
Yep.
the R2 and L2.
The point launch, yeah. Zip to point.
Yeah.
The point launch.
The zips have always just not been right for me. The targeting of it, or like sometimes I'll just spam it and it's just not wanting to go. It can be really frustrating, especially when I'm trying to be sneaky at the beginning of a base. And I'm just like, dude, connect to where I'm looking dead center of the screen. Please just let me launch to this point. Or, oh, this isn't a point on the web swinging, but in bases when I'm doing the takedowns and I'm looking at someone, it's all safe. And I hit triangle or I hit square and it grabs someone who is off screen and and then I get caught because I'm looking dead center at this one person. But then it's like, oh no, there's this guy right over here in the corner that you can't really see because the mini map is blocking it. We're gonna go for him instead. I'm like, ooh, it happens to me in every single game, and including this one. But it's just a little nitpick that is mildly infuriating.
Never happened to me, but that does sound frustrating. That would be frustrating.
Yeah. But other than that, I wish that it was unlocked a lot sooner because it was probably one of the last things I unlocked. But getting two people in a takedown at the same time was so nice.
Well, that's just busted. I mean, when you don't have to worry about the person looking at the person you're trying to take down and you just get them to, that's especially on the web line, which you can put basically anywhere. Oh, it's busted.
Yeah. And this game is probably the first game that makes me actively want to play New Game Plus. And we don't have it at launch. I know it's par for the course.
That's in my complaints section.
But man, if New Game Plus was here, I would be playing it. I would have said we should wait another day to record this so I can play some more New Game Plus.
Forget my new niece.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I love you, Millie. Really wish New Game Plus was here. And for how polished this game is, I'm surprised it's not here. Because it feels like they've had the time. Like, yeah, they did announce a week or so ago that, hey, physical gamers, we have 2 little updates that we
A
want you to download.
37 gigabyte patch.
Oh,
It was a
30
37 gigabyte patch that they were like, listen, the game is finished. It's
Yeah.
on the disc. The entire game is playable from start to finish on the disc.
Yeah.
We do recommend that you just go to your public library if you don't have internet and just download this update.
Yeah.
That's it.
And what have seen from the pre-release stuff, from all the pre-release footage and reviews, it didn't look like it was any worse. And like the reviews I watched, they were like, yeah, it didn't feel glitchy at all. I did have a few glitches. I think I had 3 crashes in total.
Oh, my game has crashed like 6 times.
Oh, okay.
It's usually when I'm going too fast.
Yeah. For me, it was a weird glitch. I don't know if you encountered, but I'll pull it up on screen right now because I did clip it when I was changing suits and I was just looking through all the suits. I think I was about halfway through the game and it was just a little block.
You turned into a cube.
Yeah. It was the cubes. I'm like, what? And I changed into one of those suits.
Heck yeah, gamer.
And I was a cube on screen and I'm like, what? And then it just crashed. I was like, okay. But I mean, like, that was one crash. I had a lot of crashes when I played Spider-Man Remastered a month or so ago.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but
kept messaging me being like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know, man. Your PS5 sounds broken.
I deleted it and re-downloaded it, and it was immediately crashed in the same spot after Jeffy died. But it was
Jeff.
Yeah, this game was good. 3 crashes is nothing to complain about, especially if you've played any other recent AAA games.
Jedi Survivor.
Yeah,
We're talking about you.
Ragnarok. I think Ragnarok is probably the only other like big game that didn't really have any issues in the past couple of years. So but again, I feel like unless you're an Xbox game, the exclusives are pretty dang locked.
So there's another glitch, speaking of, that I think you'll throw up. My brother sent it to me, but it is in the part where when Miles and Martin Lee go into Peter's mind to try and wake him up from the symbiote infestation, Peter's entire body just isn't loaded. So he's just a floating head, like on Aunt May. So emotional. And that is one of my complaints that I've seen. It didn't happen to me. Funny enough, the crashes and the bugs I've seen have ruined moments for people.
Yeah. And it didn't ruin it for me because I like my serious parts. I love the drama and the emotion of things. And that probably would have taken it out or taken me out of it if that happened to me. I did not have the floating head glitch for Peter.
It's so funny.
It's hilarious. But what I did have was in the cutscene where Peter rushes home to find MJ and Harry is there.
Right before my favorite boss fight.
Right before Scream. Harry is pouring tea or coffee or something for MJ, and he's using his tendrils, the little tentacles, if you will, from Venom, and it is just some tendrils around the handle of the pot, and then it is blank space for his arm. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. And things were just floating for the rest of that cutscene. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's just using his venom his symbiote to carry things. But it doesn't really make you scared of Venom in that moment because it's just like, oh, is he Doctor Strange?
Which, speaking of,
well,
that was amazing when Black Cat has the Wand of Watum.
Yes.
And once it's the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart trick, just even better.
We'll get to soon enough.
That we'll get to soon enough. But
I haven't done that before.
It's just the PS5 fast loading. I mean, you literally are swinging or flying by an iceberg. At one point, you're just teleporting around the city. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Dude.
Such a cool sequence. I wish we could have seen more Doctor Strange. I do want to see more Marvel characters in this universe. I know Wolverine is coming, and there probably will be more in that way. I know this is a Spider-Man game, and you should focus on Spider-Man characters, which honestly I prefer. It would just be cool. I know they've mentioned them. I know the Baxter Building is in this game. with the Fantastic Four's logo currently being painted on.
I did not notice that.
If you go to the top, it's where Fisk Tower was. Fisk Tower is now the Baxter Building, and the 4 of the Fantastic Four is now being painted on the building.
Please. So, okay, I got to talk about, I was going to talk about Doctor Strange, but I got to, before I forget that, when I saw the flame, again, not a comic book guy, but when I saw the flame, I'm like, are they making Johnny a villain? Is he about to pop up? Because I'm like, Fantastic Bagman or whatever his name is. I'm like, that was a
Bombastic Bagman.
Bombastic Bagman. We didn't see that one return. That was one of the suits that didn't return. But I was like, are they going to put the Fantastic Four in this? Because that is a huge part of Spider-Man's origin, right? Is the Fantastic Four.
They are integral. Like, he did work with them a lot. He's really good friends with Johnny Storm and Reed Richards. They are the Amazing Spider-Man #1. I mean, they're literally on the cover of that comic book.
Yeah.
Not Amazing Fantasy 15, which was his first appearance in a comic book. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man #1, he goes to meet the Fantastic Four. Be like, hey, give me a job being a superhero. I need money.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we don't get paid. And he's like, well, this sucks. I'm out of here. And he fights them because he breaks in. And then he realizes that they don't get paid. And he's like, well, what am I doing here? And he leaves. Good old 15-year-old Peter Parker. Just not thinking things through. Which actually, sorry, real quick. Speaking of 15-year-old Peter Parker, I loved the segments in the story where you get to go back in time with Peter and Harry, like especially sneaking through the school with Peter using his spider powers to dodge the janitor. He had the ultimate comics Peter Parker cut, the split bangs. Oh, perfect. I love seeing young Peter Parker.
That was a lull for me for sure, because it just goes back to, it's better with Spidey powers, but I think it's almost worse than the MJ scenes for me, because with MJ you can actually take down people. I would feel bad taking down the janitors, and I guess you do kind of take down. Do you take down? No,
I don't think so. No.
In the basketball court.
No, you distract them.
Okay, yeah. It's like, to me, it's like, okay, even though I can stick to the walls, I'm just still doing stealth, and it's like, okay, I got bored of it. I'm like, let's pick up the pace a little bit, but then, boom, hits you with, hey Harry, your mom's dead. Sorry. And that I don't want to say that was nice, but that was a good story beat to see that.
Well, it shows how they were there for each other.
Yeah, but it's just like, other than that, it's like, man, let's just get the show on the road here.
Completely disagree.
But like the Jonah mission, that flashback, I like that a lot more
because you had combat.
Yeah, and I think were we swinging, or no, we were just riding the bike. But that was fun, riding the bike
with Jonah yelling at Peter over the phone.
Oh man! In the beginning when we saved Jonah, I loved that. Such a big grin. I love Jonah.
So you didn't like getting Rick rolled in your Spider-Man game? You didn't like that at all? But I know you're itching to talk about combat.
Yeah.
Because combat was an amazing step up from the first two games.
Oh my gosh. So much better. I've talked about this with Jordan before, but as a huge God of War fan, I love the combat in that game, and Spider-Man is definitely a combat-focused game. My problems with the past couple, or really just the first one, was it felt like a lot of square, 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 triangle, square, 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 triangle, and it just feels like kind of the same. And there's a lot going on with the wheel of all the different web abilities in the first game, and I'm so glad they simplified it. You've still got 8 different options plus your normal attacks and your air attacks. It's not as like, oh god, here's this huge wheel of, what was it, 8 or more options in the first game
of the gadgets.
Yeah, that was information overload for me all the time, and it made me use less gadgets, and I was really only using the same like 3 things. But this felt very streamlined. I still don't like that things are on cooldown. I really dislike cooldowns in games, but I understand why it's there. I just wish that the perfection would be having just a couple of little combo moves like square, triangle, square, or that triangle, 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 like a God of War has. Because in those games, if you don't know, like you hit square a bunch, or you hit triangle a bunch, or you mix it up a little bit. It's not like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter combos.
No, it's a character action game.
Yeah, but like the punishment comes from, okay, you want to do you want to do heavy attacks all the time, but
You're
if you do it all
slow.
the time, then you're slower and you're gonna get punished for that. And that's just like the perfect little mixture I love in this game. But when you're running around as Venom, or you've got the spider arms, or your Miles with those electricity that is weirdly named Venom powers, I it feels so good.
You left out quite a significant set of abilities there. My favorite ones, which is those symbiote abilities that Peter gets.
I was leaving that for you.
Okay, good, because I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, my favorite ability in the game, and I knew it when I saw it in that initial gameplay reveal, but it's called the symbiote yank. And it's the one where you pick when you get the skill where you ignore the limit of enemies that you can pick up with it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, every enemy on the screen is just picked up and then slammed back into the ground.
Ugh.
Oh, it's so satisfying. The animation is so good. The symbiote punch. Some of those anti-venom powers, like I just was like, nah, that's not cooler than symbiote yank. Anti-venom tempest is not cooler.
Yeah.
And anti-venom bomb was neat. I mean, it's a ranged ability that you get, but I'm like, no, symbiote punch. I want to hit something really, really hard. The symbiote blast, the one where all the spikes go out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They nailed
So
the symbiote abilities in this game. And I mean, Web of Shadows did it differently because you had like whips and tendrils and like other things that you did, but I think this one really nails that aspect of like the symbiote just becomes an extension of Peter, and you can just see the rage in how he operates.
Another great thing they brought from, I mean, it's probably from other games too, but from the God of War series, rage mode.
Oh yeah,
Like,
the surge.
Oh, that was so good. Probably, no, it is my favorite part of the combat. Is just turning that on and just going to town. Every hit is a finisher. It is so satisfying. I love it. I cannot get enough of it. Again, I just want New Game Plus. And that's one question I have. Will we get Venom abilities right off the bat in New Game Plus? Or are they going to sideline that until a third of the way through the game?
In Insomniac, we trust. So they're not stupid. They'll give us everything at the beginning.
I hope.
I mean, what? Just because he doesn't use them in the cutscenes doesn't mean we can't use them in gameplay.
Yeah.
Surprise hit though for me, especially with one of my favorite alternate suits, which there are a ton.
Yeah.
Is the spider arms. Spider arms are surprisingly fun in and of themselves. Like, and even though like they're not as strong as the symbiote abilities for narrative and also gameplay reasons,
Yeah.
Still amazingly fun. That like, especially in the Scream boss fight, when you finally learn her moves and her patterns, and then you start mixing in like the rush and the lift move and the shock move and the barrage, like you can just get into this flow, and just the dialogue at the same time of like Peter and MJ having this real heart to heart.
Yeah.
Like him realizing like, oh crap, I've kind of failed you.
Yeah. I've been a bad boyfriend.
I've been a bad boyfriend, not
friend.
Not trying to be, but just letting things get in a way. But at the same time, MJ not really voicing her concerns until she gets an alien on her that brings out those inner
demons.
Yeah, those inner demons. Oh, wink, Mr. Negative. So yeah, that's why it's my favorite boss fight. That dialogue they have is phenomenal.
That was very good. I was not expecting her at all.
No, and that being said, it being my favorite boss fight, I don't think there is a boss fight in this game that misses.
No,
it don't miss.
It
Craven was phenomenal. Lizard, Wraith was a really cool boss
Yeah.
fight. Sandman wasn't really a boss fight. That was more of like a set piece
Yeah.
boss fight.
It was still awesome though.
Who else was a boss fight?
Mysterio.
Mysterio was a really
It was
cool.
a good
That was
one.
another like Sandman kind of set piece boss
Yeah.
fight, but it still was really good. Venom was amazing, especially the different phases.
We're forgetting
Oh my gosh,
Spider-Man.
Miles versus Peter.
Yeah.
We all knew it was coming. I didn't think it would be that good. Once again, another fight that is sold by the dialogue. You can hear Peter's desperation and like addiction to the fact that he feels he needs, or the symbiote has convinced him that he needs it to be the best version of himself that he can be.
Yeah. I just really loved how in the background and leading up to the Miles and Peter fight, how Craven is just like, I know you're in there. Where's the beast? I'm out. Like, he knows Venom exists.
Yeah.
He's waiting for it. And we are too. The symbiote doesn't even show up until about 30%. Because I was like looking at my watch that I wasn't wearing, and I'm like, where is Venom? Come on. Like, we've seen so much Harry. Just give me a little black sludge, something. And then he finally shows up and saves the roller coaster. And then we don't see Venom.
The roller coaster. Sorry, real quick. I'm sorry. I have to say that is my favorite set piece in the game.
Really?
That was so cool. Like Peter trying to save everybody on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And like that one scene where he like jumps off the roller coaster to get the guys who are shooting he catches the crossbow bolt and then jumps off, and the dude fires the rocket and he grabs it and just goes whoosh and whips it back at him. Oh my gosh, so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. That's what I was thinking. Like the first night I played, I didn't even get to the black suit. I was like, wow, I'm not even here yet.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
That was like a huge frustration with me, because I'm like, Insomniac, you promised me Venom. Where is he? Where's the symbiote? Something. Give me something. That's why I bought this game. It covers the entire plates for the PS5 special edition.
Yeah.
It covers the controller. Where is Venom? And 33% with me doing a lot of side quests is finally when we see Harry wearing the symbiote in some sort of fashion. And then we don't actually see Venom until about 2/3 of the way through the entire game.
Yeah.
And I wish that we saw more of him, because as good as Craven is, as much as I love Craven in this game, I think Venom as the headlining guy needs to be in it at least halfway through. I understand the build up to him. It was a good build up, but start that build up just a little bit sooner.
I would tend to agree with that, but I also do think that the story is structured pretty well in that like Act 1 is, normal Peter, like, Peter dies at the end of Act 1 as like all right, he's a little out of his depth.
Yeah.
Then Act 2 begins with him in the entirety of Act 2 is him in the black suit, like the Bully Lowenthal arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then Act 3 is Web of Shadows 2, Venom's going crazy.
Yeah.
Like Peter gets the anti-venom. It's insanity.
Yeah. Which you called that. I just want to give you props, Mr. Comic Guy. Maybe it was more obvious than I would know.
Man, they made a point of showing Mr. Negative being in the game.
Is he always? I mean, I don't know how many times.
He's always created anti-venom. Okay. Yeah. Eddie Brock had cancer. Mm-hmm. And then it was because the Venom symbiote had left pieces of itself in him. And he didn't actually really ever have cancer. It was more just like poisoning him to convince him that he needed it to survive. Because he didn't have cancer if he was wearing the suit. It kept it like it was tricking him into thinking that it was keeping him alive. But Martin Lee healed him with his positive power or his light force powers, because Mr. Negative can do. Both. Martin Lee has light force in the comics. Mr. Negative has the dark force powers. So he basically reversed the symbiote. It created anti-venom, who was Eddie Brock.
I still I want to give you credit, because I was like, well, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, Jordan called it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and like again, there were several moments in this game where I was hooping and hollering.
Yeah,
I was jumping up and down.
Woohoo!
Like oh my god, are you? what? Freaking out.
Yahoo!
Yahoo! Like that. And so, yeah, when that was one of them, I was like, oh, I'm right. Oh, I'm so good. I was like, I'm so good at this. I think I'm doing the best at this. And they made such a point to show him in the promotional material. I'm like, he's not just gonna be Miles's. Like, he served double purpose, and the plot lines merged really well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the story was structured great, but I do agree a little bit more Venom, but like the stuff we got was very impactful. I mean, we even get to play as Venom.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, playing as Venom. We already touched on it, but man, perfection. So good.
That I did not see. I know I said that, but I just didn't see it. And I'm so glad we got it. That's why I'm disappointed there's no mission replay in the game as of right now.
Yeah. Oh man. It just sucks. I just want to keep playing the game, but I don't want to start over and lose all of my abilities.
Yeah, I don't want to unlock skill points again.
Just mission replay. Another complaint I have around the Venom story, and I understand why they do it, and it's a nitpick. It takes so long for me to get the amazing Raimi suit, the black suit. They also kept taking it off of me, and then I'd have to go back and put it back on myself. And I get for the cutscenes, like, it makes more sense because they're showing him like put this like moving suit on. But I'm like, could you at least just put it back on for me when the cutscene's done?
Yeah. I think that also might be why New Game Plus is taking a while, because they have to figure out that.
Yeah.
Like how to keep, because there are certain sections where they're like, you cannot change your suit.
Yeah. And that's
for this story mission, which I understand. Like I totally understand. Yeah. Like it was like that in the first game. Like the Antioch suit went on at the very end of the game, no matter what. You always fought Doc Ock in the Antioch suit. Unless you were on PC. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I'm sure once they get that figured out, we'll be able to use whatever suit we want in the cutscenes.
I just want.
And I'd say that I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And either way, I'll just be happy we have New Game Plus, and I can play the game again with all my abilities. What I need them to do, this is another one of my complaints. I need them to add in the fact that we can turn the symbiote tendrils back to black.
Yeah.
Instead of remaining white. Even because you can even equip the black suit from the story and the classic black suit, which have black webs that you swing from in the post game.
Yeah.
And the tendrils and symbiote abilities are not colored black.
Yeah.
They're still anti-venom colored. It doesn't make them less fun. It's just like, come on, guys. Just make it a toggle.
Yeah.
And also, please let me parry with the spider arms when I'm in a suit that uses them.
Yeah.
Especially during the traversal, like dash and jump. Like if they're used for that mechanic, they should also be used for the parry in that suit.
Yeah.
Because using the superior suit and then parrying not with the red spider arms that I love to see and I love to use, and it's one of the reasons that's one of my favorite alternate suits in the game, and having it be the anti-venom tendrils, it's just like, come on.
Yeah. It's like we're nitpicking. But
those are nitpicks. It doesn't affect the game at all. But like it's just small things like that I would just prefer.
We just want more.
I just want more. I just want more reasons to enjoy playing this game, because I already have too many and I need more.
Yeah.
I need it. I'm desperate.
My only real complaint is just put the suit that I had on before the cutscene, just put it back on. We're not in a cutscene anymore. And they do that at the end. I think once you get the anti-venom suit,
it puts that one on.
It'll put that on for the cutscene, but then it switches it back to what you had on before, and it's not a big deal. It's like, okay, well, perfect, that's fine. But then during the black suit points, it's like, nah, you're stuck in this one. And it's not even points where they're like, you can't change the suit right now. It's, you can change the suit, we just are too lazy to give it back to you, what you had on before. So I'm a Raimi kid. I grew up with those films. I love those suits. I think they're some of the best suits ever. And I want more and more of those Spidey suits. Yep. I want the Tobey Maguire suits. One thing I will say that I love is they just saturated everything in this game. We're done with that 2010s moody look that the Dark Knight brought to us. I
The
know that was
brown and the blue and the
like it is colorful. This game as a whole is so much more colorful. But like my complaint in the first game wearing the Raimi suit was I can't even tell like the difference between the red and the blue because it's so dark and there's no sunshine or like there's no light on this to tell the colors and stuff. It's hard to see what I'm wearing, why I even bother changing my suit. But in this game, oh boy, everything's colorful. The sky, the city, your suits. It looks so good.
and I give them props. I think that's just because of it's all ray traced.
Yeah.
There is not a mode in this game that does not have ray tracing enabled.
And they
And I think
nailed it.
because of that, because it's actually like accurate lighting,
Mhm.
actually calculated light, it just looks better. And the colors are more accurate. Like Spider-Man's reds and blues are better.
The last thing that I want to touch on with like controls and stuff in this game is the trigger effects. The haptics, everything. The DualSense really changes the game for me. It's not a gimmick. It's not like a lot of gimmicks that Nintendo puts on. The DualSense makes this game so much better.
Mm-hmm.
The Uncle Aaron missions and Peter does it a couple times too, but holding the triggers in the perfect position to unlock doors and stuff, it's a little thing. It's not necessary, but it's good. I
Yeah.
love it. It doesn't have anything to do with Spider-Man, but give me more trigger effects that are really cool like this in more games. Like actually use the capabilities of the DualSense in future games.
Well, and that's just Insomniac did that too. When we play Rift Apart, we talk about it, but there are different firing modes based on how far you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So they've always just been top notch with the DualSense. Another thing I really do love is, especially with the haptics, like you mentioned, you can feel the wind ripping by you as you're using the web wings.
Yeah.
Or you can feel the vibration and the pull on the web line as you're swinging through the city.
The spider sense. You get a little haptic.
You get a little tingle.
They're like,
yeah, you get a little tingle. You can hear when you're going to collect a spider bot.
yeah.
You can hear the tick, 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 tick. Which, speaking of spider bots, that's a great segue into the side quests, which I loved. There's two specifically I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
The first one being the conclusion to a character we have gotten to know over the course of all three of these games is Howard.
Yes, I totally forgot about Howard.
Oh man, what what a wonderful piece of just like writing and storytelling. Just having him kind of be like, "Hey, would you mind just like flying with my birds for a bit? Because I'm gonna go on one last adventure. I can feel it." Which is so sad. And he talks about how he used to be a laborer and then he got laid off and now he's homeless, but he's got his pigeons.
Yeah.
That's all he needs. And then his wife died. But like that quest where you're flying with the pigeons, and I have not been able to find the name of the song because no YouTube video can play it for copyright reasons.
No.
But the song that plays as you're flying with the pigeons, like this fun, like sort of like indie alternative, like song that's just like a happy moment of you just like flying with Howard's pigeons.
Yeah.
Was so cool to me. Like it was a perfect Spider-Man moment.
Yeah.
Of him taking the time. The city is running amok. The hunters are everywhere. He takes the time to go out of his way. And either one, you could do it as Peter or Miles, but either one takes the time out of their day to sit with Howard and talk to him.
And
in his final moments, he had a friend.
But he's also like, I was just like, shut up. Like, stop trying to get out of this. He's dying. Like, it's obvious to me, at least. But,
well, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The way he was talking about it. And Peter's like,
man, can we do this another time? It's like, no, dude, shut up and listen to the dying man. Give him his last little bit. He's going. Take his birds for a joyride.
Yeah. And then the one after that was another similar vein, The Lost Grandpa.
Yeah.
That was another great quest. Same thing where Spider-Man takes like 15 minutes out of his day to just sit and talk to this man. I think the quest was actually like 10 minutes. 15, I pulled that number out of my butt.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. But he just sits and talks with this guy on the park bench and is like, when the guy's like, "You ever been in love, Spider-Man?" And Peter's like, "Yeah, I have."
I played it as Miles, and I thought it was even funnier.
What did Miles say?
He was like, "I think so." I'm like, "Dude, you can't even ask out your own crush that clearly likes you back."
Genki's like, "Please, dude, please ask her." And
I
Miles,
can't believe Genki cheated on whatever, was it chess or something?
mini golf.
Mini golf.
Got the
Yeah.
hole in
How do you
one.
cheat on like mini golf? How do people not notice that?
Well, Miles seems to be chronically distracted by anything and everything. I love when he said that though. Miles went, "You were 8, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. Like you were 8. Chill." But yeah, the Lost Grandpa, Spider-Man sitting with him and talking to him, especially if you do it in the Raimi suit, it feels like a moment right out of those movies.
Yeah.
Like right out of Peter just is sitting and talking with somebody. The fact that he knows he's getting older and he knows he's fading, but he's doing all he can right now to just stay connected to the memories of his wife that used to be around. And he's just like, "I'm sorry I ran off." He goes, I just wanted to be where I felt like I was with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dang, man, you can't be doing this to me."
Maybe it's me in my old age, but I just, anytime we talk about family like that and it's emotional, it's just, it gets to me. I love it, I hate it, but I love it. That was a mission where I'm like, my mom would love this. She would love this part.
But other side quests, those are my 2 favorite ones. I think the 2 most significant to me.
Yeah.
But there are another 2. You touched on it with the Flame, who ended up being, spoiler alert, Cletus Cassidy. And he's going to be Carnage. That's one of his aliases. Yeah. But yeah, so it's Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah.
It's going to be Carnage. I don't think people are saying, "Oh, that's Spider-Man 3." I really hope we get a DLC called like the Crimson Hour or Maximum Carnage or something like that. Because I think resolving the symbiote storyline in this game as part of the DLC would be better than taking it away from the other 2 villains set up at the end. Or 2 other villains, not the other 2. 2 other villains set up at the end. Doc Ock and Storm and Norman himself, the Green Goblin, which is what this has all been building towards, and I will be there literally second 1 for Spider-Man 3 when we're taking on the Green Goblin. But also another villain that was set up, Chameleon.
Yeah.
Chameleon, which I was wondering because they have always been stepbrothers.
Oh.
Kraven and Chameleon.
See, I've never heard of Chameleon before.
You've never heard of the Chameleon before?
No.
Wow.
He hasn't been in a movie, so I don't know him.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the Chameleon is a really cool character. I think he was the first supervillain Spider-Man fought in the comics.
Interesting.
Was the Chameleon in Amazing Spider-Man number 1 through 10, one of those. I don't remember off the top of my head right now. I'm sorry, Spider-Man fandom, I failed you. But yeah, so the setups, that's how I felt about the side quest, is the setups they introduced, I think, are going to pay off super well. They did it in the first game with Yuri, paid off super well, and then her quest sets up Carnage. Green Goblin and Doc Ock are set up again for the final chapter, as Otto called it.
Is it going to be Goblin and Goblin Jr. together? Because from what I got out of that was Harry is getting whatever goblin juice that what's his name gets in the Raimi movies, all that, the green smoke,
the G serum.
Yeah, it seems like they're building up that either one of them or both could be Green Goblin.
I feel like Harry is gonna come back as a way to walk Norman back from the edge.
Yeah.
Because Norman is really well characterized in that he does care about his son. That's not a common thing.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn is pretty much typically written as just a full-on egomaniacal psychopath.
Yeah.
Who only cares about making Peter Parker's life worse. Hence why he kills Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, "Oh, you want to fight me? This is a game to me. I'm going to make it painful for you." So I don't think Harry will become the Goblin, especially at the end when he's talking to Peter and he's like, "I'm done. Like, I can't fight this anymore. It'll kill you, or it'll kill Miles and MJ, and then it will kill you." Like, I think Harry has walked back from the edge. I think Norman wanted that G serum because he's he's about to get goblin.
I'm more curious to see how they work in the third one, Miss Cindy, because I have not heard
Oh,
anything
right.
about her.
Yeah, Cindy Moon, Silk,
Yeah.
which was another thing I called. I was like, I wonder if they'll do that because they really want to establish, because they're like, Gwen Stacy's not really part of our story.
I'm surprised. I really thought they would throw Spider-Gwen into the mix just because she's such a prominent figure in Into the Spider-Verse, and they really lean into the Spider-Verse, especially in this game.
Yeah, with that one side quest. Yeah.
Which was really cool. I'm guessing that was a character from the PS1 games that they showed in the portal because she was very Tomb Raider blocky.
She looked more to me like the art style from the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look because she definitely looked like a
'Cause I
video
don't-
game character to me
I
from that.
don't remember anyone named Delilah in the first two PS1 games.
Okay. Well, I just she looked like a PS1 character to me.
Oh, okay.
I got Tomb Raider vibes from her
Yeah.
character. That's why I mentioned it like that.
I'm interested to see where that goes. If maybe that character's in the sequel to
Yeah.
the Spider-Verse movie. I don't want the Spider-Verse to come in and kind of take over the games.
No.
I
want more of a Marvel. I want an MVU.
Yeah.
Because like
or the MGU.
I'm surprised that there was no. I thought for sure there was going to be a Wolverine tie-in. I thought they were gonna have a post-credit scene or something. Because I just imagine they're gonna reuse New York for him, even though he's not really a New York character. I feel like, but why would you put all this work into making New York perfection and not have him be here? Because isn't the X-Men mansion in New York?
Upstate New York.
Okay.
So not like Manhattan, kind of outside.
I
of
just don't see
Manhattan.
them making a whole new layout for Wolverine.
Oh, I do. He's got to go to the Savage Land, baby. He's got to go to the Savage Land. He's got to be in Canada because that's where he's from.
Yeah.
We got to go into the Canadian wilderness. We got to fight bears and stuff, man. I want to see Wolverine go full feral on just like.
I want to see him fight Hulk.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But the other character that I'm surprised we didn't get anything from was Doctor Strange. We heard Wong for like a little bit. We got like 2 lines out of Wong.
Mm-hmm.
But
and the note.
I was really hoping we'd see Doctor Strange. It's a Spider-Man game, I know, but sue me for wanting more Marvel characters from Insomniac.
Yeah.
Because they are just nailing these games.
You know what? I wanted Daredevil or someone. If they're going to do the thing where people help you out while you're fighting crimes.
Yeah.
You imagine if like Daredevil or Moon Knight shows up.
Deadpool. Give me a Deadpool game from Insomniac.
Peter hates Deadpool.
Really? I thought they were buds.
No, Peter hates him because he's too crazy. Like he's too much for Peter to handle. Sense. Like Deadpool's the comic relief and Peter has to play like the straight man.
That's funny that he is not the comic relief.
And that's what's so great about their dynamic is it forces Peter Parker to be serious because this guy's just unhinged.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I just want to reiterate, if you're a Spider-Man fan and you like the first one, go play this game. If you're not sure, go play this game. It is the greatest superhero game of all time.
Yes, without a doubt.
I love Batman Arkham City. I know that's the only other one that people talk about. This is the Arkham City of Spider-Man games. So if you've been waiting for it.
I thought Arkham Knight was better than City.
Mechanically, there was more to do. City is a better overall package.
We'll play those eventually because that's something I've yet to play. That you even gifted me one of them, and I still have not played. But
I mean, they're like 99 cents on Steam every like 6 months.
That's something I really want to play for the podcast, and I'm sure you guys want to too. But before we exit here, we asked our Patreon. Well, we asked one patron what they thought of this game. So Jordan's going to pull it up real quick. And because we want to get you guys into the conversation, we're episode 4 now. So we can actually get our audience involved. And let's see what our boy Jonathan has to say.
So this is from Jonathan Judge Dredd on Patreon. and I said, just give us your thoughts, however detailed you want, on what you think of Marvel Spider-Man 2. He goes, well, I would say that its two strongest aspects are its narrative and its traversal system. I think the wingsuit is a great way to iterate on the web swinging and how seamlessly they work in combination together. I felt like the game was a little shorter than I expected. I wouldn't have minded a few more side quests that use more villains. I thought all the voice performances were super well done, especially Angry Peter. The combat was fun and flashy, a lot more challenging than the first game. The Mary Jane sections were still not great, although they were improved a lot from Spider Man. Performance wise, the game looks great, although I had several crashes and a bug that wouldn't let me complete the Spider-Bot quests, and was kind of a pain to troubleshoot, although I did get it working in the end. All in all, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
I will say that I did have a glitch with the spider bots as well. It was because they set a crime right underneath one of the spider bots that I was trying to get. And so it was also a chase. And so it thought, "Oh, you're in the chase now." And so
You
I'm
press
like,
triangle to get to collect it.
yeah, so it's like it's setting up the triangle to attack the car, but even though I'm not looking at the car, that's the only
You
triangle
were
option it's
close enough.
giving me. And it's like, no, I just want to grab the spider bot right here, and then I can go take down the bad guys. I'm like, I'm up here, I'm right next to it, but I
Mm.
just had to go finish the crime, and then I came back, and it was fine.
I
Not a
will,
big deal,
I will say I agree with pretty much everything he said here. Um,
except for that 8 should
except
be
for
a
the 8 out
10.
of 10, I just bump it up to a
Yeah,
9.
I agree with you too, Jonathan.
Yeah. No, that is a extremely solid take.
Well said.
He's just, not as big as a Spider-Man fan as me. This is
Yeah.
my game of games. This has now become my favorite video game of all time.
This should be game of the year, but it won't be because Zelda and the D&D game.
If those weren't out this year, this
This
would
win.
take it hands down.
Yeah, it's just gonna be another year like last year for me where I was like, Ragnarok should have won, but Elden Ring won instead.
You
And
ever
it's like,
played Elden Ring though?
no, because it's not my type of game.
Yeah, if you played it, you might feel a little bit differently. Because I wanted Ragnarok to win, but then I also was like, no, Elden Ring is going to because it really does deserve it.
I was just
In the same
hoping,
way, Tears of the Kingdom does deserve to win, or
yeah,
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate, that's what it's called.
All three, Spider-Man, Baldur's Gate, and Zelda, all deserve to win Game of the Year.
And
My Game of the Year is Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. No, I've heard that quite a few times. But Spider-Man, obviously.
Pokemon DLC.
DLC can't win Game of the Year, and you know what? We're lucky because we'd have even more competition for our two web slingers.
Yeah. I do want to see DLC, but I also want to say, even if you're not a Spider-Man fan, I know we just talked about like the entire game, but if you have not played it, even if you're not a Spider-Man fan, you should go play this game. It is good, even if you don't really care for superheroes. It has amazing combat, a really compelling story. It just does not miss.
And what better way to break into Spider-Man than with the best adaptation?
Yes.
And I know there are fans who are going to be like, "No, Spectacular Spider-Man." No, this has surpassed that at this
is
point.
the best piece of Spider-Man media I have ever consumed, and I hope Spider-Man 3 will top it, but I'm not holding my breath because this was just
Don't take away
so
my
good.
symbiote abilities.
Yeah,
And we're golden. But yeah, no, best piece of Spider-Man media I've consumed. It's tied with Spider-Man 2 the movie for me.
Yeah. I do wish it was longer. It would have been solved by New Game Plus. That's all I'm going to say. I could not be happier. I could be a little happy. I really can't complain though. I was going to complain about the platinum being a little too easy, but I'm just glad that I didn't have to play the game again on ultimate difficulty. Otherwise, I would not have gotten the platinum.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had it done by this.
No, I just
well,
wouldn't have gone for it.
I might have.
You would have, but
Yeah.
I would not have. But I'm not going to complain about an easy platinum trophy. So
No, it's great.
another one under the belt.
It's great for the profile.
Yeah.
So, and I've done platinums that were way more ridiculous than this one. So
I'm just gonna say, let there be carnage, baby.
maximum carnage.
I think that's all I can really say about this game. I have a smile on my face now. You could not wipe it off of me when I was playing. I just love this game so much.
And there you have it, true believers. That concludes
episode 4.
Episode 4 of the Backlog Club. Probably my favorite episode that we will ever record until Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel.
Yep.
Check out our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. We'll read your comments like we did here.
Yep.
You can also put in a suggestion for a game that you want us to play, and we will take those and consider them.
And you can go watch the Super Mario Wonder podcast right now if you are a member of the Patreon. So go watch that.
A lot to say about that game, too.
Yep. And there will be an edition of someone talking about that game from the Patreon, too.
But with that, I think there's only one thing left to say.
Roll out the red carpet for you, my friend. This camera, or this camera.
Tell the people what you got going on. No, in the words of the iconic Stan Lee, I was just going to say,